podcast that introduces you to registered, clinical, and certified aromatherapists around the world. I'm your host, Melissa. I'm a holistic life coach and a registered aromatherapist. Join me every other week as we chat with aromatherapists and hear about their aromatic journeys and how they use essential oils in their lives and in their businesses. Hey friends, welcome to podcast episode number 20. Today's aromatic chat is going to take a little bit of a twist and a turn. I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I am a registered aromatherapist, and I bet my listeners would actually like to hear what I have to say about aromatherapy and my business. So I've invited Adipsia, who's also known by his common name, Brian, the genius behind the music for Aromatic Chat.
You are going to want to hang around after the episode today because I'm going to turn the tables and talk to Brian a little bit about who he is and what he does.
So let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome to Aromatic Chat. My name's Brian. I'm your guest host for today because our interviewee is actually Melissa, who runs this. It's going to be a bit of a change of pace. I'm going to be asking the questions so that she actually gets to talk a bit about herself, because I'm sure if you've been listening, you've been hearing from plenty of other people, but you might not have necessarily heard from her directly. So welcome to your own show, Melissa.
Thanks.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm
How's everything going?
It's going pretty good. It's
Nice.
early morning over here on Guam, so I'm up.
Nice. It's mid-afternoon here in New York. We've got a lot of snow, so we're staying cozy.
We don't get snow here.
No, yeah. I feel like something cataclysmic would have to be happening for you to get snow down there in Guam. So yeah, I guess we can just get started. The first question is just to tell us more about who you are and how you got started.
And how I got started with aromatherapy.
In aromatherapy, yeah.
Okay, so my name is Melissa. I am a registered aromatherapist. I went to school at the American College of Healthcare Sciences, which is where I got my training to be able to take the exam to become a registered aromatherapist. But how did I end up going to the American College of Healthcare Sciences? That's an interesting story. My mom actually became a certified aromatherapist back in the early 1990s. She owned her own beauty salon, but she was a really solid businesswoman and realized very quickly that she needed more than just cutting hair if she wanted to succeed and make money. So she went back to school and got her massage license, so that her salon could be more like a spa. So she got her massage license, and within the massage curriculum is always a very small portion about aromatherapy. You know, like, this is something you can do. This is a little bit about how to use it, and then they move on. She was intrigued, so she decided to go ahead and get her aromatherapy certification. Now, back in the 1990s, there was no internet.
I was about to ask, how much harder would it be to get into this sort of thing?
Yeah, so there was
the resources aren't as available.
Exactly. There was no internet back then, but there was what they called correspondence courses. What the school would do is they would send you the material, you would digest the material, do whatever was required, and send it back. They would grade it, and then they would send you the next piece of information. So it was this back and forth exchange to do correspondence courses. So she got her certification through a correspondence course. And that was my first introduction to essential oils. Back in the early 1990s, essential oils were like this fringe thing, this like really out of the box, like, that's weird.
Okay.
Why would you even do that? That's strange. So when she got her certification, I remember walking into her salon and, she had racks that my dad had built, and they were just full of these little bottles. I didn't understand it, but she tried to get me to understand it. It didn't make sense to me at that time. But also at that time, I was really focused on raising kids. So getting more information like that I just couldn't handle it. So she did try desperately to get me to understand essential oils at that time. So I actually have an aversion to some of these scents that I work with because I was so focused on raising kids, and she was trying to, put these things in my path, and I couldn't handle it. So there's actually, like, I don't like the scent of lavender. I don't like the scent of geranium. because these were
The
things.
connection to those memories.
Yes, this connection to this. Get away from me.
I'm too busy for this.
I'm too busy. Stop. So that was my first introduction to essential oils. But I guess about 8 years ago. So what would that be?
2012? No,
2012.
2012 or 13.
2012, 2013, when we were living in Texas, the multi-level marketing companies were really taking off, right? So
Right.
everybody was using essential oils from the multi-level marketing companies. And I had some friends and they're like, you need to use this, do this, do this. And they would like give me an oil or have me try out something. And I remembered at that point going back, my mom had to go to school to do this.
Mm.
And I just like instinctively knew that there was more to it than here, rub this on your body. Here, smell
Right.
this.
Take a bath in this oil.
Exactly. And I just said, there's got to be more to it. I started looking for schools that would offer training in essential oils and things like that. And I started diving in and realizing, oh, there is a lot more to it. It's not just, go pick something up at Walmart and breathe it in and life will be fine.
Sure.
There's more layers than even that. So several times throughout the years while raising my kids, I tried to go back to school. We were living in Pennsylvania and I tried to go back to school to become a sign language interpreter. I really love sign language. So I tried to go back to school. Like it wasn't the time, it was that nothing fit, the classes weren't right, whatever the reason, that door was shut. Another time I had tried to go back to school for psychology because I really love the way the brain works. And again, the timing wasn't right. The classes didn't fit. I didn't have the money, whatever the reason, the door got shut right away. I started looking into colleges for aromatherapy, or schools, not even colleges, just schools for aromatherapy. And there's a bunch of different schools out there. There's, like I said, there's the American College of Healthcare Science. There's Aromahead. There's all these different schools. And I came across ACHS. They have degrees and they also offer certificates. And I was like, I don't really want a degree. I've raised my kids. I homeschooled my kids. I understand English. I understand math. I don't want to take a class in English and math. And I was like, maybe I should just go get my certificate. But I'm a very goal-oriented person. And I kept thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to do this, I should go all the way. I should get a degree if I'm going to do this, but I don't want a degree. And I had this internal battle going on with myself. I was talking with my youngest son one day and I said, I don't know what to do. And he said to me, out of the mouths of babes, I mean, he wasn't a babe at the time, but he said to me, Mom, shouldn't education be the goal, not a piece of paper? Which is absolutely funny because that's what I've always taught my kids. So I took my own advice and I applied to the college and everything went through. I was able to go to school and get my certificate. And it was a really neat experience. And after I, graduated with my certificate, I sat for the registration exam. Just like nurses and doctors and everything, you have to take an exam if you want that title. So I did. I sat for my exam, passed my exam, and I'm a registered aromatherapist.
I'm curious though, because you said that you have a lot of these memories of like aversions to this stuff.
Yes.
So what made you interested in actually pursuing it if a lot of those memories you have is that it was just something that was kind of getting in the way?
Oh, that's a good question. I was working for my chiropractor at the time there in Texas, really learning about the body and learning how everything works together and realizing that we have to care for ourselves. And if we can keep our body in a state of homeostasis, a state of ease, a state of relaxation, it's less likely that we'll develop disease.
Mm.
So working at the chiropractor, I was learning all these things. Essential oils fit into that model because it's a natural product. These are plant extracts is really what they are. So it's a natural product. It's a natural way to bring our bodies back into homeostasis. And since I've been involved in the aromatherapy community, I've developed my own thoughts about aromatherapy. And I really believe as a Christian, as a Jesus follower, I believe that we were created for the garden. I believe that we were created to interact with plants on a daily basis. He put us in the garden naked so that we would be walking among the plants and rubbing up against them and getting those essential oils into our bodies. I just really felt working at the chiropractor, learning about how our bodies work, that it just fit. And having all of my friends, giving me these essential oils and starting to do my own research, realizing that it actually is a good way to bring body systems back into balance.
That's cool.
Does that
So
make sense?
yeah, so I think so, yeah. So
Okay.
basically, yeah, because of your encountering the aromatherapy early on, before it was all the multi-level marketing,
Right.
you're able to see through that and then actually get to like the actual core of aromatherapy, which is helping people and helping their bodies, as opposed to just falling into the trap of the multi-level marketing.
Right. Or,
Because it was something new or
here, rub this on.
right. Right.
I don't
Okay.
want to rub it on.
Right. Okay. That's very cool. The next little topic is that what is the most common problem that people come to you with? Like if we're talking about getting the body into homeostasis, like what are some of the issues that keep people from that? What's the most common?
Honestly, and it's always been this, but it manifests in different ways. Okay. So it's really stress, right? Because stress forces us into a state of fight or flight all the time, regardless of what the stimulus is. We're in this state of fight or flight when we're under stress. So it's really stress is the main thing that people come to me for. However, it manifests in so many different ways, like knee pain, joint pain, anxiety, depression. But it's really stress on the body. It's stress on the body. Because my big thing is, if we can get the body to not be stressed, then we can actually address the issues.
Right.
Because we can't address the issues if you're in a state of stress.
If you're just trying to survive.
Exactly. When
Right.
we're in that survival mode, we can't move forward. We can't dig down. We can't figure out what the real problem is. And that's what I love to do. I love to dig down and help people get to the root. This is what's going on in my life. Okay, but why? And that's what I love to do. And the aromatherapy is a beautiful way to help people get to that place where they can figure out why.
Right. Where they actually, their body lets them have the time and energy.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
address the
Because
issues.
if your body is stressed, I was talking with somebody about hydration. If you're not drinking enough water, you're not hydrating your body, which means your organs are stressed, your blood is stressed. We're just talking at a cellular level. Your body cannot function properly if it's not hydrated.
Right.
Everything is stressed if it's not, because it's trying to function. It's trying really hard to do what it was created to do, whether it's your kidneys or your liver or your skin even. It's trying really hard to do what it was created to do, but it's not been given the tools to be able to do that. So, I mean, just even hydration is something that stresses your body if you're not hydrated enough.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me. I probably need to drink some water once we're done here.
Let's do that right now.
Take a little water break. I'll grab the empty glass here.
But that is something, like when I work with a client, it's not just about essential oils. I mean, we're talking whole body, whole mind, whole spirit.
Well, yeah, because it is all connected in the same way, like with chiropractic. I don't know if chiropractic is the right word.
It's an old timey way of saying it.
I guess, but everything goes through the spine. Everything's connected, and
Right.
in the same way,
Right.
your mental state is connected to how your brain is functioning. And if it's not functioning or if it's under stress, then it can't work. It's all connected.
Exactly. And mind, body, spirit is the way that I approach everybody, a holism, looking at the whole person, not just, oh, you came to me with knee pain. Here's something you can rub on your joint.
Right.
Well, why do you have knee pain? I had a client who had knee pain. I was like, okay, well, tell me about what you do on a daily basis. And we started going through her regular routine. Well, she's a horsewoman, so she rides horses. Okay, well, that's cool.
Okay.
Have you ever fallen off your horse? Well, no. I said, in all the years that you've been riding horses, you've never fallen off? Well, when I was younger. And then she told me this really horrific story of being thrown off of her horse. And I was like, and how did you land? And she's like, well, I landed on my hip. I said, okay, so there's a problem in your hip that's causing the knee pain. The knee pain is just like the way it's manifesting.
Right. Either it's overcompensating.
Right. So
to
when's
protect the hip
the last time you got an adjustment? Does going to a chiropractor help?
Well, yeah, I always feel really good for a couple of weeks. Okay. So the problem is not the knee. But over the years, of course, the knee has degenerated. So now the problem is the knee. But what if we could get to it before that happens, and realize that the
Right.
problem is actually that your hips are like this and
Right.
causing the stress on the knee. So it's like when I work with a client, it's not just here's something that you can inhale or rub on your body. Let's talk about why. Let's get to the bottom
Right.
of it. Let's figure out what the problem is so that you can address the problem, not just the symptom.
Sure. Well, because I imagine if we come back to multi-level marketing, their goal is to make money,
Sell.
to get people to keep coming back.
Yes.
But you don't want to do that. You want to actually help.
I actually feel like I've succeeded when they don't call me.
Right. Well, I guess that's what I was getting at was, like it's a success if they don't need
Yes.
to come back anymore, if the problem is actually solved.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
that's kind of how I operate, which is probably not a very good business model, but
Sure. But I mean, it's health, it's people's health. I mean, so what's some of the biggest like stumbling blocks on the business or the approach that you have? Like what kind of problems do you run into with the way that you operate your business? And
there's so many stumbling blocks. The first is just getting the word out, right? Because the ML, I hate to keep coming back to the MLMs. We're just going to say marketing, because marketing has made it so easy for you to just go onto Amazon and buy something, right? I can go onto the internet and see that such and such is going to help with this. So I go buy that thing, but I don't really know how to use it. I don't really know what I'm doing. So getting the word out that there are people who are trained, there are people who know what they're doing, there are people who examine the chemistry behind the essential oil and how it interacts with the body, and just being able to get the word out, I think, is the biggest stumbling block. And I've come across that actually in several of my interviews, that it's just hard to let people know that we exist because we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise.
Right.
So unfortunately, we kind of get stuck using and relying on social media, which is not, I mean, with all the algorithms, it's very
hard
rare that
yeah.
anybody's even going to see anything that I post.
Yeah, you have to, social media is a skill of its own.
I have a social media manager who takes care of my social media and makes sure that things are posted. But for me to remember to go back in and engage with people is, I don't know. That's hard. It's discouraging. It's not hard. It's just discouraging, because you go through a lot of effort. And I know other aromatherapists do as well. They go through a lot of effort to put out quality content.
And it doesn't get seen.
It's just crickets because we don't have the marketing. We don't have the ability. We don't have the money, because most people who are in this field of aromatherapy or other complementary modalities, they're not in it to make money. They're in it to help people.
Right. Which is not going to succeed on social media.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Because we're not making the money to be able to advertise. It's a catch-22. It's a catch-22.
Right.
We want to help people, but people don't even know that we're here to help them.
There's a mindset that affects all small businesses, really, which is, why would I pay more for this if I could just get it on Amazon for cheap?
But the other thing, if we want to go into the whole Amazon thing, all these people sell on Amazon because Amazon makes it easy to get their product out there, but they don't make it easy for us to find the actual vendor.
Right. Or how do I tap into the actual expertise that they could give? Yeah, the internet is an amazing tool, but it's also it has its issues.
It's a beast.
It's a beast.
Look at this. You're in Rochester, New York. I'm on Guam. The internet is amazing.
Right. It's amazing.
Yes.
That we can connect and talk this easily. Yeah.
In real time. 20, 30 years ago, even on the phone, there was a 30-second lapse.
So the stumbling blocks and everything, it's a bit on the negative side. So let's talk on the more positive. Like, what are some of your favorite essential oils, and what are kind of the best ways to utilize those? Like, what are your favorites?
My favorites. My absolute top favorite is vetiver.
Vetiver?
Vetiver is a grass, and they distill the root. So vetiver has an amazing earthy, sweet scent, and it's thick. It's one of the really thick oils. I store all of my essential oils in the refrigerator to keep them at a constant temperature. And I have to warm up this bottle
to get a single drop out. And even after
Oh, wow.
I've warmed it up, I stand there and wait. It's so thick. Vetiver is wonderful for nerve issues, not and I've used it for people who have nerve pain and also people who have nervous issues. So any type of
Okay.
nerve issue, vetiver is
Hmm.
so good. It's grounding. It's wonderful to help sleep, but just the scent, so
So
deep
does it
and
smell
so
like a
rich.
fresh grass?
No, it doesn't. It smells like earth. I call when I describe it to people, it's like an earthy vanilla. So if you opened up
Hmm.
your bottle of Mexican vanilla and added dirt to it, it's like that.
Okay. Don't try this at home,
Don't
folks.
try this at
Keep that
home.
vanilla
Don't
nice and
drink it.
clean. Right, right.
But no,
Okay.
I mean, vetiver is honestly my top favorite. I just opened up a bottle of lavender the other day. And remember earlier I said I have an aversion to lavender.
Right.
Lavender, a lot of lavenders are really strong and they hit you really fast because lavender is considered a top note. So in perfumery, there's top notes, there's middle notes, and there's base notes. And the top note is the one that comes out of the bottle right away. It's really chemically, it's a very light one. It's a very light chemical. So it just
Okay.
immediately pops right out of the bottle. So most
Mm.
lavenders are really strong and they hit you really fast.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. I've
I have
experienced
this
that.
so I have this aversion to lavender, and most lavenders smack you in the face, right?
Right.
So I opened up this bottle of lavender. I had gotten a sample from a company called Greek Mountain Herbs. So it's a Greek lavender. They grow it in
Hmm.
Greece. And I opened up the bottle. I got my perfume strip and I, put a couple drops on the perfume strip. And then I started doing this. And I was like, this is like the best lavender I've ever smelled in my life. It's got the lightest scent. It's gentle and sweet, totally different than any other lavender I've ever smelled.
Oh, wow.
Why is that? Okay, so plants, when you plant a plant in the soil, and if you're a gardener, you know all this, right? Every soil has a different composition, and the plant will grow differently in different soils. So this lavender from Greece growing in Greek soil has a completely different chemical makeup than a lavender
Oh,
that's grown in
wow.
Texas. So lavender is on my list of oils that I love, but it's not because of the scent usually.
Oh, okay.
It's because of what it can do. The father of aromatherapy, Maurice Getfosse, worked in his father's perfume lab and he burned himself really bad one day. Something, I don't remember the exact story, but like his whole arm was burned and he bubbling
Oh,
third degree
wow.
burns, the whole thing. But he remembered lavender is healing. So they had this vat of lavender essential oil because this is France. Lavender is what they do. And
Right.
he plunged his arm into the vat. And within a couple of weeks, it was completely healed. So lavender, because of what it can do,
Okay.
not necessarily
For,
because of the scent.
okay. But most of the time you put up with the scent
I do. And
because of the utility.
I actually use lavender in a lot of blends because of what it can do.
Okay.
The other thing that's really important to remember, and this is why it's important to work with a registered clinical or certified aromatherapist, is because just because lavender is wonderful and can do all of these things doesn't mean it's going to be wonderful and do all those things for you. Every person on this planet is completely unique, and your chemical makeup and my chemical makeup are not the same. And just because something works for me does not mean it's going to work for you. So it's very important to work with someone who knows this, who practices this, because yes, lavender is wonderful, and lavender is probably the most well-known essential oil,
Right.
but it doesn't work the same for everyone.
Okay.
Some kids respond with getting hyper when they smell lavender, while for most adults, it helps us calm down. I mean, it's completely different. You have to know the plant. But
Right.
lavender is also a favorite.
Okay.
And I love citrus oils. They're so uplifting. When you peel an orange and you see the spray come off it and you just breathe that in and you're like, yes, that's kind of what citrus oils do, right? You just open up the
Hmm.
bottle and get a couple drops and you're just like, yes, I can face the world. So like
Right.
lime and lemon and orange and grapefruit, all of them are just like, oh, yes.
Nice. And what do those do? Because
They're
I know citruses have like vitamin D and
Yeah,
things like that.
most of the time citrus oils are very uplifting. So somebody
Okay.
who's struggling with anxiety or depression, or have you ever felt like a day that's just really oppressive? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to function. You just put a couple drops of orange on your diffuser, whether it's a desktop diffuser, necklace diffuser, or wrist diffuser, whatever type of diffuser you use, diffusing in the air, however you do it, a couple of drops of citrus can brighten your day.
Because it's citrus. I mean, it's a fruit, but
Mhm.
it's food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unprofessional opinion. It seems that, yeah, it would make sense that
Yeah,
that a food type aroma or oil
it would be so
would be
uplifting. Yeah.
right. Hmm.
And I also love the resins. I know I'm taking more than three, but
That's fine.
the resins like frankincense and myrrh, they are really grounding. With those days where you feel flighty, where you're like, I can't get my brain to focus. Frankincense or myrrh, and also those are the sacred ones, right? They're mentioned in the Bible. They gave
Right.
gifts of frankincense and myrrh. These are sacred oils. Not only that, they're antibacterial, antimicrobial, and all of this, which is why they gave them as gifts to Jesus, because those were the things that they used in burial.
I see.
Yeah,
Hmm.
wicked cool stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keep going
really.
on and on.
Sure. Yeah, go for it. All right, so we've got four favorites,
Oh yeah,
but
sorry.
we'll just have to cut one. One of them won't make the cut, but
Well,
we can decide that later.
but then that is the problem with aromatherapists. We love them all. That's why we do this.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure the more you get into it, and
Oh,
maybe there's one that you haven't really used much, but
right,
you read or find something out about it that really
right,
sparks up
right.
this
Right.
like
Well, also
excitement.
like the way that they're gathered, the way that they're processed. So you have these plants, and then, sometimes it's the leaves, sometimes it's the petals, sometimes it's the bark, sometimes it's the root, sometimes it's the heartwood, sometimes it's just the resin that comes off of it. So you get into that part of it too, like how cool this is.
Right.
Well, oh,
Yeah, and I imagine it's fun to learn,
I love
and just the
learning.
learning of it is
Yeah.
exciting
I
and
actually love
engaging.
learning. That's something I've learned about myself. I want to be learning constantly.
I
Give,
think that's probably a good mindset to have.
give me more.
Yeah, so speaking of like learning and things like that, what sort of lights you up? What inspires you to learn or to do more?
I actually was asked this question on Clubhouse the other day. Who inspires you and why? What inspires me to learn? I feel very strongly that we're all put here for a reason. We're here for this time in history for a purpose, for a reason. I don't think that I am a stagnant being. I'm a constantly evolving being, constantly growing, constantly learning. And the reason is so that I can help other people. My passion actually isn't essential oils. My passion isn't quilting. My passion isn't training dogs. My passion is helping others succeed.
Hmm.
And how can I do that if I'm not constantly succeeding myself, which is what learning is, right? Constantly succeeding. Even if all you do is get a passing grade, you've succeeded because you've retained that knowledge. So I feel like watching other people succeed is my passion. So I have to keep succeeding in my daily life.
Okay. Right. And the more that you can learn and experience new things, the more tools you have to help
To help other people.
so many other different people
Yes.
succeed.
Yes. I just,
Very cool.
I feel like it's my job to reach back and say, come on.
That's really cool. The next question here is, how do you incorporate self-care into your business to prevent burnout? So we talked about those stumbling blocks, how
Right.
discouraging it is
Right.
to work with social media, and how it doesn't necessarily help, things like that. So like, how do you prevent getting burnt out?
The constantly learning thing is a big one. I actually kind of get down if I'm not learning new things, even if it's just reading. Like I have a pile of books. When I finish the one I'm on, I go grab the next one. And they're not all learning books. Some of them are for fun. Right now I'm reading fiction, but so constantly learning is really helpful for me. But I also have what I call in my coaching business, I call it personal success list. And it's a list of just 3 things that I do each day. And if I can manage to get those 3 things done each day, then the day was a success, in my opinion.
even if I don't get
All right.
anything else done. So like my personal success list for me includes movement every day, whether that's going for a walk or doing Bali X or doing yoga or doing body weight training, just movement every day, because our bodies were created to move. And if I don't move, my body's going to get stuck, and I don't want to be stuck. I want to be able to move when I'm 60 and when I'm 70 and when I'm 80, if I make it that far. So movement every day, especially if I can get outside and move, because 20 minutes of direct sunlight gives you the vitamin D that your body needs. So if I can get outside and move, that's even better, even if it's just taking my yoga mat out to the carport. Reading is on my personal success list, because when you're reading, you're breathing a little bit deeper, you're not as stressed. That gives you that rest and ease and the potential to bring your body back into homeostasis, right? Because you're taking the time out of your day to sit and just ruminate. So
Right. And your brain is occupied.
Yes. So
So it
reading's
doesn't have
on.
time to to wander and worry. And
Yes. So reading's on my personal success list. The third thing on my personal success list is writing every day. I don't like to use the word journal. It has a negative connotation for me. It feels like a place to complain. That's what it's been in the past for me, a place to complain about my day. And I don't want to do that. Even if it's just one page, I just write. And that's not writing where I'm trying to accomplish something amazing or trying to complain or trying to work out the world's woes. Just whatever comes to mind, I just write.
okay.
As a coach, I feel that that's super important, because we can get so caught up and spend all of our time in our heads that we don't get much else done in our lives. So if I can take what's stuck up here and get it out, just get it out, I have a better chance of having a successful day. So I do try to write in the morning. Like I'll get up, I'll get my tea or whatever, and I sit, I read scripture, I read a book, I write, because if I can get it out, then I can get on with my day. So those are some things that I do for myself, for my own self-care. But I also take the time, go get a pedicure every now and then. We live on an island, but I'm not much of a beach person, but that's okay. I am an extrovert, so this has been hard. COVID has been really hard because I do like people. So it's been difficult to be here where it's unfamiliar and I don't know anybody, but I have started making friends, and that's a big part of my self-care. And then the other part of my self-care, and this is going to sound weird, but when you remember what my passion is, it makes sense. I love coaching. Coaching is my self-care. I get so energized when I leave in a coaching session that when I leave it, I feel amazing, having helped someone overcome whatever it is.
And it ties into your other self-cares, which is like getting out, like doing something. It seems like a lot of your self-care revolves around accomplishing things, feeling like you're doing something and not just wasting time.
Not just, and it's not about wasting time, but just being unproductive, I guess. Sitting. Now, there are some days where I just need to sit, but that comes with listening to my body. Is my body saying it's tired and I need rest, or is my body saying I need to move?
Right. Yeah. That's something I've learned too through COVID, because the first several months were spent not moving at all, because I was just staying inside, working from home, barely, just barely moving.
Right.
And my body deteriorated incredibly quickly.
Very fast. It's crazy how fast because our bodies were created to move. And through the movement, we strengthen muscle, we strengthen ligaments, we lubricate our joints. Lymph the only way lymph can move through your body is by movement or physically moving it. So if we're not exercising, it's getting bound up.
And your muscles get tighter, and then it makes it harder to move. And if you can't, and you get stuck. Yeah. And we were made to walk and to wander and gather and
bend over bodies, and pick things up, and
they function the best when they're moving.
Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. So what's something that you're working on right now that has you really excited?
Right now, I just recently finished my coaching certification. So I'm a certified life coach now.
Congratulations.
But I'm in continuing on. Oh, thank you. continuing on with the whole I love to learn things, I'm actually in the master coaching program now, which is teaching more than just the basics. It's really, really diving deep, which is what I love. Like I said at the beginning, I love to help my clients figure out, why are you procrastinating? Okay. So you're procrastinating. Why? What's going on that's causing that to happen? And that's what this master coaching program is doing. It's helping us really learn how to dig deep. So I'm super excited to get through this coaching program, but it's intense. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh good, I'm going to be a master coach in 3 months. No. We have business coaching in it, which is what I've been lacking in my business, is direction. So I'm excited about that.
Cool.
And we get to, we have skills lab partners, and we also have personal coaches and all these meetings, and it just feeds my soul, right? Being people.
Right.
I mean, I'm just so excited.
You're learning, you're
I'm
spending
learning
time with people. This is everything that you want.
everything I need in my life. I've already had a session with my coach. It was funny because I know what she was doing, because I do the same thing with my clients, but it didn't matter. It was fabulous. And at the end, she's like, so how was that? What was that like for you? And I was like, have you ever been on a roller coaster? She's like, yeah, I have. I said, it was like that. The slow climb, the slow, the building, all the background information and everything. And then you get to the top, and then it's coming, it's happening. And then down you go, tears flowing out of your face, going around this curve, going around that curve. And then you pull in at the very end and you go, and your hair's like this. That's what it felt like.
Right. And then you breathe out fully for the first time.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, wow, that was great.
What did we just, and then you go, what did we just do?
Right.
What just happened? So, yeah. So that's what's got me really excited right now, is really digging in and diving deep and learning these skills that are going to help me help you.
Right.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's really cool.
I'm really excited about that. I've been a coach my whole life. I've realized.
But now it's official.
But now it's official. Exactly. I was like, I just need a piece of paper that says I can do it.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
So how can people find you? Like, I know I'm the guest interviewer here. So if they're listening to this, they've already found you in a way.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what are some other ways?
Yeah, sure. Aromatic Chat, obviously. But my coaching business, and you can find the aromatherapy there also, is lemonbalmcoaching.com. It's on Instagram the same way. It's on Facebook the same way. I'm on LinkedIn by my name, Melissa Holman.
And as the last thing, what are some kind of inspiring words? What are some words that either inspire you? Give us something just to end on a nice positive note as we finish up here.
One of the things that we learn in our coaching program is that we have to have paradigms, words to live by, things that you hold as true and valuable, things that give you a foundation to live on, to live by, to coach by. One of the big paradigms that I struggled with when I first started my coaching program, but I've come to really embrace, is that every act has a positive intention. Everything that happens in this life has a positive intention behind it. So if we can reframe the negative things in our lives to see the positive in them, it's going to change the chemistry in our brain. It's going to change the way that we view the world. And it's going to give us the opportunity to live a better, more positive life. Everything has a positive intention. Even the horrible things that may have happened in your life, the horrible things that might have happened to you, there's something in it to learn. There's something in it that is positive. And if we can figure out how to reframe it so that we can see the positive in what happened, everything changes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to Aromatic Chat. It's been a blast, and I hope you, the listeners, have enjoyed it as well. And thanks for tuning in. And it's been great.
Yeah, and let me know. Message me, tell me something if you want Brian to come back and be a guest host again.
I've been told I have a voice for radio, so
You have a
we'll
wonderful
see.
voice. Yes, I think people would enjoy hearing from you again. So let us know if you want Brian to come back. I bet I could talk. I bet I could twist his arm and talk him into it.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, if the price is right.
Sounds good.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
yeah, well, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning in to Aromatic Chat. I wanted to ask you to hold on until after the credits roll because I do have a little bit more information for you today about our host, Adipsia. I wanted to let you know that I do have a free gift for all of my listeners. If you head over to lemonbalmcoaching.com and click on the links tab, you will see my 5 tips to help busy moms decrease stress. And then there's also a super secret blog post about essential oils. I would love for you to hop on over and claim that gift as yours. Thank you so much for listening to Aromatic Chat each week and for sharing it with your friends and family. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode. And be sure to check out the show notes for all of the links mentioned in today's episode. If you enjoy Aromatic Chat, be sure to leave a review. Thank you again for tuning in. And remember, you can find me, your life coach and registered aromatherapist, on the web at lemonbalmcoaching.com. I will see you next week with our next episode. Until then, peace, love, and aromatics. Brian, thank you so much for coming back on and giving me the opportunity to turn the tables.
Oh no, I feel suddenly in danger.
Because you came on out of nowhere and offered to do this, I just wanted to give everybody an opportunity to get to know you and tell them why you volunteered to do this.
Sure.
Earlier in our interview, I mentioned my youngest son who helped me realize that I should be going back to school for the knowledge. Well, Brian is my youngest son, so he's the one
Hello.
on that bit of wisdom back to me.
Hello.
It's good to see your face.
Yeah, good to see you as well. We don't do this often enough.
Where are you located, Brian?
Rochester, New York. Closer to Canada than it is to New York City.
What took you guys out there?
My spouse and I just moved to Rochester from Texas a couple years ago, almost 3 at this point, just because we really wanted to get into the Northeast. I like seasons and the history and all that, and I prefer to not live in Texas where it's hot all the time. And just like get closer to a bunch of other cities. Texas is so spread out, it's hard to do anything. And so we moved up here with my friend and bandmate with the intention of this being like a jumping off point where we could go and tour around the Northeast and the Midwest easily. So it didn't work out, unfortunately, but we're still up here enjoying the colder weather, the seasons, all the friends that we've made up here.
Excellent. Bandmate, what type of music do you guys play?
It was a 2-piece, so we did kind of a weird alternative rock. It's in a genre it's called math rock.
Okay.
So for people who are unaware, it's sort of just like punkish music with some weird time signatures and some jazz elements thrown in. It's sort of just like a mishmash of progressive rock, alternative, and indie and punk rock and stuff.
What drew you to that type of music?
Well, when I first started playing drums, or drum set rather, my grandpa and uncle both got me jazz CDs to listen to and get inspired by. And so I've always really liked interesting and unique like rhythms and sounds and things like that. And through my musical journey of listening and consuming other bands, there were always little snippets of interesting stuff happening. And eventually I managed to find my way into this genre, and it was exactly what I wanted to play.
So you're a drummer then?
Yeah, primarily. But I've also worked with synthesizers and keyboard and stuff as well.
Oh, excellent.
I'm still a novice when it comes to like music theory, but I'm open to learn, and I enjoy, experimentation and figuring things out and just making sounds. I was talking with Madeline about this, I think just last night, about how there are some musicians who get really into the minutia. Did you know that the drummer was also in this project, or he does his own things? Or, oh, you use Ludwig drums. What kind of heads do you use on that? I use these, and I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know band members' names or things. I just do stuff that I like. I just like making music.
Like making music. We'll jump over to the electronic side because I know that you make electronic music, but would you share about your electronic music?
Yeah, sure. So if you've stuck around for this episode, at the very beginning, you heard one of my tracks that I made for the podcast. Most of the stuff that I make is more on the ambient side, a little bit less on the pop electronic stuff. But yeah, it's sort of just an exploration of things that I like, which is finding cool sounds, sampling nature and cityscapes. I just like exploring sort of like where I'm at emotionally, and just use that as sort of almost like a meditative time to just kind of make some cool sounds and let my mind drift a bit, you know?
That's cool. What have you ever done any other types of projects?
Well, other than all of the different kinds of bands I was in, at one point I was in 7 different bands at once playing drums. I was in high demand in San
And
Antonio.
that's one of the beauty parts about being a percussionist, because you can be versatile and work with different people.
Right. And I don't want to say all, but most live music needs a good drummer as the solid core. And I
Right.
like to think that I provide a good core.
What makes a good drummer?
Obviously, a handle on rhythm and speed and tempo. I guess sort of like a meta social awareness, knowing, okay, you know, if the guitarist is ramping up to do a solo, I need to make sure that I ramp up the emotion with him, but don't take the attention away. You know, or if we need to chill out a bit on a bridge or something and bring it down, you can kind of actually slow the speed just enough that maybe the guitarist won't notice, but that the people will feel that sort of slowdown or a speed up, you know. So sort of just this awareness of what the song needs and how to subtly lead the band in that direction without taking the attention away from the people who are in the front, you know, the guitarists and the singers and stuff.
Right.
One of my friends, he was like a singer-songwriter, and I think it's might be the most apt thing, is he said, you're very tasteful, which I think is important, knowing when to go hard and fast and show off and, you know, all this stuff, and when to just chill out and just play the beat and let things happen, which is a very jazzy approach.
So you've been in a bunch of different bands, you've done your own stuff, you're doing electronic music just in general for people to listen to. Are there any other projects that you've ever been involved in?
Yeah, I did a soundtrack for a short film for a San Antonio filmmaker. It's called Rio Sacado. It's a short film about PTSD in the backdrop of gang war in Mexico. So it's a pretty intense short film, and I managed to lend my musical talent to sort of help build the intensity in some of the critical scenes.
That's amazing. Is that available for people to just see?
I believe it's on YouTube. I know it was running around the short film circuit. It won a couple awards in San Antonio. I don't know if it's widely released or anything like that, but I believe it's on YouTube to watch.
Okay, very cool. So where can people find you and what you do?
So I've got a lot of my stuff on Bandcamp, so Adipsia.bandcamp.com. A few of my albums, one of my earlier albums, and then my most recent ones are on like Spotify and Amazon and Apple. If you just search Adipsia, they're on there. But it's not my entire discography, as it were. The two-piece that I was in is called Psalms, Salms, and that's on Bandcamp and Spotify and Apple Music and all that as well.
Very cool. Okay, and now I know everybody's going to want to know the answer to this question.
All right.
Adipsia?
Oh yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because I use that name in a lot of different places, you know, on, you know, my Instagram and for like gaming and things like that. And so if I ever meet somebody online, they always have a hard time saying it. So it's good to say it a few times so people know, because they'll always go Adips, what?
Oh.
Adipsia. But yeah, it's actually a medical condition that I found it while reading up on some stuff. It's a medical condition for a lack of thirst. So where you don't feel thirsty and you end up, you know, you can be incredibly dehydrated without ever feeling thirst. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty potent kind of metaphor for my emotional state a lot of times, which is I struggle with depression and anxiety and things like that. It resonated with me in that kind of just like feeling like, you know, that you need something. In the medical case, it'd be water, but you don't ever thirst for it. So that's where that came from. And a lot of my music is kind of depressing.
I don't know if I would say depressing, because I have read the song titles. I have listened to the music. I think it's emotive. It causes introspection. When I listen to your songs, it causes me to slow down and go inside. It may be coming from a place of depression for you when in a struggle, but for the listener, I really feel like it causes you to just slow down and then go inside.
That's awesome. It's good to hear that, because that's the kind of state that I get into when I create. So it's good that it translates.
It does translate
across the airwaves.
Awesome. So people can find you on Instagram, Bandcamp, Amazon, Spotify.
Apple Music, basically anywhere where you can find music to listen to.
You're not just a musician, you're an artist. So if you choose to follow Adipsia on Instagram, you're going to get a lot of artistic photography.
I do some writing here and there. Yeah, I guess, an artist might be a more apt description because I don't necessarily just stick to music. I just like creating.
You are a great artist, really, honestly. And yes, I am his mom and I have every right to be proud. So you're a really phenomenal artist. Drawing, the photography stuff that you do, really good. The music is just amazing. I've always been a little bit amazed by your skill.
Thank you.
I think it skipped me. And it all went into my kids.
Oh, I don't think that.
No, I've always been a little bit like watching you as a young kid drumming. It was just like, that's a natural talent. It's not taught. So I've always been a little bit amazed by that. But you're not just a good artist. You're not just a really good artist. You're also a deep thinker. And that's also something I've always loved about you is you think very, very deeply about things and become very passionate about things. Is there anything that you're passionate about right now?
When it comes with the deep thinking, it can often mean I get stuck in my own thoughts and end up just sitting on the sidelines. But throughout this past year in 2020, a lot of stuff has come up with the way that minorities are treated in America. And here in Rochester, it's been especially bad. Last year, we had several instances of people with mental health emergencies getting mistreated and killed by the police. I've been doing what I can here. It's been difficult going through a pandemic while also trying to be present in the community.
Well, Brian, I want to thank you so much for taking the helm on our interview and then for coming back and sharing a little bit about what you do. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure that my listeners will be like, who is this rando and why is he here?
Right. Yeah, makes sense. It's a bit of a shock.
Yes, I wanted to give everybody that chance to get to know you, just in case you do come back and host again for me. I really appreciate you doing that. I enjoyed editing our interview, and as mom living on the other side of the planet, I got to listen to your voice for several hours while I was editing, and that made me so happy. So thank you. I appreciate you tremendously. You'll never know how much.
Well, thanks for letting me do this. It was fun doing the interview. It's fun coming back. As awkward as it is to talk about yourself, it's been a blast.
All right. Well, thank you.
We'll see ya.
Bye.